For the wall calf stretch, begin standing near the base of a wall and place the instep of one foot up as high as you can get it with that same heel on the ground. From there, use the back leg to help press forward as you gently try to bring the hips closer to the wall, getting a deep stretch into the calf. Those of you looking for a little bit more of an advanced stretch can try the pike calf stretch. From a push-up position, begin by placing the instep of one foot on top of the Achilles tendon of the other. From there, push back with your upper body as you raise your hips towards the ceiling and press your heel down towards the ground. Another great way to stretch the calf involves the use of a stretch strap. Begin by looping the strap underneath the ball of one foot and then sit up in a nice tall upright posture. From there, gently pull back so that you get the toes of one foot pointed back towards your torso. You can use the opposite foot as a gauge as to how much dorsiflexion you're getting. Moving up into the hamstrings, we'll once again be using the stretch strap for the three-way hamstring stretch. Begin by looping the band around the ball of one foot and then gently pulling that leg back, maintaining a slight bend in the knee. Pay attention to the opposite leg, which should be pressing into the ground with the toes pointed up towards the ceiling. After holding the neutral position for about 20 to 30 seconds, bring your leg up and out to the side, just outside the shoulder on that same side of the body. This will hit a different area of the hamstring as well as some of the adductors or inner thighs. Finally, take your leg to the outside across the opposite shoulder, bringing the IT band into the stretch. Next up, we'll be targeting the muscles of the groin with the short adductor stretch. From a seated upright position, begin by bringing the soles of your feet together and then gently pressing down on the outside of the knees. I like to stretch up against a wall to maintain a good upright posture. To stretch the long adductors, place your hips up against the base of a wall and then gently let your legs drop down the wall, allowing gravity to induce the stretch. Once you get to the position where you feel a deep stretch, bring your arms in for support to make sure that you don't overstretch, as well as to help you get back out of position once you've completed the stretch. Moving up into the glutes, we'll begin with the lying figure 4 stretch. There are two versions here. For the beginner's version, from a lying position with both knees bent, start by bringing one leg up and placing it on the top of the opposing knee. From there, simply reach between your legs to grab your hamstring and gently pull back towards your chest. For those of you who have the flexibility and want a little bit deeper stretch, instead of reaching through the legs, reach around grabbing the top of the knee. This will place that top leg under a much deeper stretch, and you should feel it even more in the glutes than the first version. Do not force the stretch though. If you're fine with the beginner's version, start there and work your way up. Here's a more advanced version of a glute stretch for those of you looking for something a little deeper. It's called the pigeon stretch with lat. To execute the pigeon stretch, place the knee under the midline of the body and then settle down onto the forearms, getting the torso nice and long. Reaching the arm underneath the same side that you're stretching will give you a great stretch in the opposing lat as well as deepen the stretch on the glute. So once again, I'm tucking my right knee underneath my body, getting the torso nice and long, settling down onto the forearms to get that initial stretch. To increase the difficulty, I'm going to lift up a bit so that I can clear that left arm underneath the body. If the addition of the lat is too much for you, just stick with the first version of the stretch down on the forearms. Next up, we've got the couch stretch to target those tight hip flexors and quads. Begin in a high kneeling position in front of a bench or couch and start out by trying to get your heel in contact with your glute. Bringing the opposing leg forward, you're going to squeeze the glute of the back leg as you drop down and try to get a nice diagonal line from your knee through your hip, shoulder, and ear. This will stretch out the hip flexor on the back leg. From there, you want to try to settle into a more vertical position and gradually get yourself nice and upright with the heel in contact with the glute. Moving into the upper body, we will start off with the lateral neck stretch. From a seated position, sitting up straight and tall, grab the underside of a chair to anchor your shoulder down. Then come up and over with your opposing arm, bringing your ear towards your opposite shoulder. And we'll stretch out the side of the neck and the shoulder. To involve the levator scapulae, simply turn your head to the side, drop your chin into your armpit, and grab your head from behind, bringing your chin down towards your armpit. To execute the pec anterior deltoid stretch, you're going to need a door jamb or other sturdy object you know is not going to move. Begin by placing your forearm up flush against the door jamb and then rotate so that you're stepping slightly across your body to get that stretch through the pec and the front of the shoulder. Note the elbow in line with the shoulder as you simply rotate across your body. To execute this first lat stretch, you're once again going to need a sturdy anchoring point that you know isn't going to move. Once you grab the hold of it, simply sit back into your hips and allow your torso to lengthen, getting a nice stretch in the lats. You can easily increase the intensity of the stretch by shifting one side to the other. Just make sure that you're holding each position for a minimum of 20 to 40 seconds at a time. For an even deeper stretch in the lats, you can try the bench lat stretch with external rotation. Begin in a kneeling position and place your hands down on a bench and rotate your palms so they face the ceiling. Once there, again sit back into your hips and try to maintain a nice long torso as you ease into the stretch. Just as with the pec stretch, for the bicep stretch you'll need a door jamb or sturdy object that isn't going to move. Begin by making a fist and then placing the thumb side of that fist up about shoulders level and simply rotate away from the body. Once again, the inside of the fist goes on the door jamb as you rotate away from your fist. To effectively stretch your triceps, begin by bringing your arm up and over behind your back as if reaching for your shoulder blades. Come across with the opposite arm and gently grab the elbow, bringing yourself into a deeper stretch. As you do this, it's important that you don't increase the arch in your lower back to try to gain more range of motion, as you can see here from a profile view. Make sure to maintain a nice neutral torso with the abs lightly braced as you come up and over with that opposite arm and gently increase the stretch. Finally, we'll round things out by stretching out the forearm muscles. We'll begin with the flexors on the front side of the forearm. Begin from a kneeling position by putting your palms down on the ground and turning your fingers back towards you. Once in position, lightly shift your hips back to increase the stretch on the front of the forearm. To stretch the extensors on the back side of the forearm, place the backs of the hands down on the ground and simply reverse the motion by once again sitting back into the hips until you feel a stretch across the back side of the forearm.